So having a conversation not as a general trying to tell people what to do, but have them see the outcome of their actions and what that achieves has been, I think, the key to becoming an intentional transformation person.
Hi, I'm Rashmi Jain, CIO partner at Zeal IT Consultants. I'm very happy to welcome you here today to our podcast, and a little background on why we started with the podcast. We come across so many neat individuals, technologists, experts in their areas and fields in our day-to-day workings with our clients, our vendor partners, that we felt like a platform was needed to share this collective knowledge so we can all grow from it together. The technology world is moving at such a fast pace. I think all of us, even the ones in the thick of it, our heads are spinning. So any and all help we can get, any and all direction we can get, I think we're all in it together. And that's the theme and ideology behind our podcast called Navigating Technology with Zeal. As our guest today, I want to introduce a dear friend. She is what I call the Olivia Pope of the tech industry. She is a transformational leader. If there was one title you could give her, it would be Bring It On, Change, Here I Am. She takes all these challenges head on. She has spearheaded many different transformational and growth projects single-handedly pretty much. Of course, we all know there's a team behind it. Saleema will correct me, I know that. But she's a force of nature to reckon with. And I'm so honored to welcome our podcast guest, Saleema Syed, today. Hi, Saleema.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Great. Thank you so much, first of all, for having me. It's an honor to be here, and I love our conversation. So to be here and talk about what we do is definitely a blessing. And you're very kind. All those things you said, yes, it is a team. I think you know this as a CIO. It's a team that is behind us, they are the wind beneath our wings, and that's been the success of my journey as well.
Absolutely. We are so honored to have you. I think our only problem today is going to be there's not going to be enough time, right? So we might have multiple series of this particular episode.
Yeah.
So I'll jump straight into it. What a journey. What a career, still going strong. I wouldn't say anywhere peaked yet, but you have so many peaks that you've had along the way. Management consulting, aviation industry, all the way now to WebEx, Cisco. A lot of our peers out there, as they're looking at career transitions, transformations, they're evaluating these different aspects, being industry side, being in management consulting, being with a large company versus a small company. What has your experience been like, and what has this path been that's taken you here today?
Great question. And you're right. I think we need a whole day for this. Not because I've had such a huge journey, but I think it is, my journey has been I think from grassroots, from the bottom, right? I think that it's important to know, put yourself in other different roles and different functions to become, before you become a transformation, or what you don't get in and you say, I'm going to become a transformation leader, or I'm going to want to do transformations. That's not a career path immediate. I think it comes with time, and it comes with spending time in the trenches with the teams, whether it is technologists, whether it is business, whether it is marketing function, product function. I think my growth, I would say, has been initially in the consulting area, right? And I think it was a very intentional role to be very quickly became from implementing and coding to, I love to be behind a computer, but I think I really want to understand the business. So going in and understanding the end-to-end business, whether it is lead to cash process or operational efficiency from sales, marketing, business partners. That has really helped me whenever I wanted to go deep into an area to be able to put myself in the shoes of the stakeholder that I'm working with. And I think that is key. That has been, I would say, that's been a key part of my growth, to be able to, if I am doing operations and sales operations, which I did for a while in the cybersecurity space, to understand that I know when I go to a sales leader and say, hey, you need to put your opportunities in the system, they're like, oh my God, I don't want to do it. But I'm like, I know you don't want to because I have carried a bag and I've been a sales, but this is where the data is going to help you grow. So having a conversation, not as a general trying to tell people what to do, but have them see the outcome of their actions. Right. And what that achieves has been, I think, the key to becoming an intentional transformation person, right? So that's kind of what it is. But I think I love solving problems, right? Whatever, is it an agony aunt kind of a role? But more like I love listening and hearing and understanding what the perspectives are. And I think that personality of mine didn't come overnight, right? As you go through life and as you learn, you also bring that to your professional life, right? You try to keep it separate, your personal, who you are versus professional. But I think there is, I tell like hire for will versus skill. And I think that will is so important.
Spot on.
To have, I've always have been told in the earlier years of my career as like, you have too much passion. And I used to think of that as a handicap part of it, right? Like, is that something that is not good? But I think I learned to turn that around into a strength, right? So as a journey, look at going through and going broad, understanding the business, and more towards like last 5-6 years is when I'm like, okay, now I need to go deep. Right. And that's kind of where I am in choosing to be in the marketing and operations kind of an area. So I think my 2 cents to people would be don't shy away from a issue or when you see something knotted out, go in, open the hood and understand what's going on. That will automatically give you perspectives right. of the different functions to be able to help solve it. So,
right, but it's not for the faint of heart. Not everybody can look at a problem and say, "Oh, I think I'm going to roll my sleeves up and maybe spend the next half of my life unraveling," and looking at various different tech industries. Right, I think that's the core problem there. There's large transformational projects gone wrong. The statistics don't support successful transformations or conversions. And there's legacy systems, and oftentimes in new roles, you're inheriting somebody else's problems that now become your problems, right? So wherein every CIO will tell you they have a fire extinguisher under their desk, I think you carry one in your handbag with you all the time, right? And so having lived through this and knowing that a lot of our counterparts are in a similar position, working through projects that you really don't know where to start to even unravel the problem. What is Saleema's secret sauce playbook for transformation projects or rescue projects?
Wow, rescue projects, that's a good one. I think, I'm going to speak your language from a CIO perspective because that's kind of my technology background as well. As an implementation specialist, you look at it from, from system, process, people. Right. What are the systems that are helping me drive things? What are the processes that help the system? Who are the people that help run this? I think when you are in the business of going in and looking at a business and saying, okay, now I need to either turn it around or take them to IPO or take them to an acquisition or in a growth trajectory, you got to turn it around. You got to start from people. When I say people, you need to listen. You need to understand what the outcome we are trying to achieve is. Right. So I think turning it and then say, okay, if I keep the process in mind, right. Don't go into the systems, because you need to understand that systems are never the issue, right? Systems are doing what you are asking it to do. Right. You could have a system 10 years before you started, or when the company was really small, or tackling to a different journey, to a different outcome in a different stage of the company.
I want just that spliced out. Systems are not a problem, and I want to play that before every meeting.
I think that is where transformation projects in this C-suite maybe goes wrong, right? Because you are always trying to go in and say, okay, now we are moving towards AI, so
Right.
rip this out and put this in, right? I think that is not that is the root cause of it. Go to the people who have been running this and follow the process. Like I tell my team all the time, lead to cash process. Any business, whether it is a healthcare, whether it is technology, whether it is retail, whether it is financials, anything, there is a lead to cash process. Somebody is going to bring you the lead to bring the business,
Right.
and you have to make the cash out of it,
So
right?
true.
So when you follow the people of who runs that,
Right.
and understand the outcome and the intention of each of that team, and then you look at, okay, this is the journey you're in, new process, and then you say, okay, this is the process that is needed to be able to realize that outcome,
that goal.
then what do you change in the system? So I think CIOs and from a technology, it is more of, I would say, IT is no longer IT. It is business aligned IT, right? IT doesn't exist without the business. If you don't understand the business of what you're trying to do, IT is dead. All right. I mean, that is when you have people coming in and saying, oh my God, we need to change this whole company to an SAP house or a Salesforce house or whatever the new CIO has come in because they are from this history of working with SAP.
Always the case.
Always, or this consulting company that you've hired has been, SI for this particular product. That's when transformations fail. I think you have to really be intentional about what the journey of this company has been and where it is headed. And then you put the processes in place, tweak the processes, and then the systems come in. I think that, it seems, I mean, I don't know. In my head, I'm like, oh, this is a no-brainer. But I think having been there for a while, I'm like, no, it's not a no-brainer. You have to really try to fight the workings of the companies that you are in, who is used to thinking like that. And that is where the change agent comes in, right? Like to say, okay, let's think about it, wait a second. Don't go to fix a problem, because if you go in and rip and replace, it's
right.
easy. Now that with AI coming in, okay, let's go in and let's make everything AI. But again, the same thing comes in, right? Why do you need AI?
Right.
What is the problem you're trying to solve? Tell me that.
Right.
And then we'll find the right AI tools for you.
So no, you're spot on. Don't lose sight of the goal, the ultimate business goal of why, the why behind the whole exercise. I think a lot of technologists get mired into the how of it.
Yes.
And they lose the why. And so the whole team, not just that one person or that one leader, needs to be focused on the why of the exercise itself.
Yep.
That's very well said. Now, when you're looking at projects, right, you're looking at something that you're kind of mired in. So you have the existing technology leader who's struggling to keep the ship afloat. And then there's maybe pressure from the board or somewhere along the way that says, oh, we need to bring a transformation leader in because that's going to be the answer that solves all our problems, right? And not realizing that comes with its own set. But it's that fine balance. What has your experience been in helping CIOs, CTOs, CEOs, where what they're staring at is daunting and they still business needs to continue? Right? It can't stop for transformation. How is that balance achieved?
I think my team and I, and we are conditioned to think of it like, you have to think of it as run the business and change the business.
So true.
Right. You have to have 2 lanes, swim lanes that are, if it is an existing business you're going in, right? From a WebEx perspective, if you look at it during COVID, you have to still have these thousands of people who have gone home overnight to be able to work tomorrow. Right? At the same time, you also have to grow the business to be able to make this a household name or put it in the hands of a consumer from an enterprise, right? And also at the same time, change the brand of who you are. So my leader, she always says like, we built the plane while we were flying it,
And
right?
you chartered the course.
Yes, and I think there was a lot of tools out there. There was so much of competition. There were tools
still
that
is.
became
Yes.
the verb of collaboration, right? Not to mention who they are. But so you are in the market to be able to transfer. But how do you go through that, servicing the current customers so that they don't break down, and changing the product so that you are actually charting a path for the future? I think it is important, very important, not to lose the thing of, okay, keep the business running, right? Keep the lights on. And when I always come in and I say, hey, we need to look at the operations first. It's a core of who you are, right? If you have a discipline of a good operation, you will meet your numbers. You will be able to design products tomorrow in a more streamlined way. One of one of the leaders I was working with, I won't say early in my career, probably a few years ago, he said, oh, yes, you're okay. Operations is great, but operations is not something that I would focus on when I'm trying to build something, right? I'm trying to build something here. I need to have that agility. I cannot say, okay, here's the operations I need to put in place.
You saw that as a roadblock.
Yes, right? So I don't want processes. I don't want to think about the documentation. The same person in 3 months came to me, okay, wait, what is the process that we have, right? How are we going to do this?
Right.
So I think that not to over-engineer any part of what I'm trying to do is very important, right? And that balance and understanding the balance of how do I make sure to keep running my business and trying to change the business is a fine balance. And it's not always the same weightage, right? Like when you're trying to fix things, sometimes run the business takes a higher weightage. And when you're trying to add features and compete in the industry and kind of take that path of how we go there, change the business take a higher weightage.
Right.
So I think as a leader, whether you're transformational or not, whatever the leader you are, to recognize when that weightage goes where.
What season?
Yes. Is what it is. I think it is important for every leader to have a calendar in their office, which is a seasonal calendar. No, I'm not talking about fall, winter, right? But I think monthly seasonal calendar, which says, okay, this is January to my December, January to March, which is my, say, first, depending on what financial calendar you follow, is it my first quarter? What are my sales goals? What is my marketing goal? What is my operational goal? What is my IT goal, right? Or so then I know that, okay, if my sales is not meeting the numbers, say in the first few months, then I know I need to do something in the marketing that pushes my run the business weightage higher, maybe, right? Or I'm going into the next phase where the market is going to kick my backside because AI suddenly came in, and I need to, if I don't ride this wave, I'm going to lose who I am in the market. Then guess what? My product takes a higher weightage. And so I think it's almost like a lever you have as a leader to say, which one do I crank up and crank down? It comes as you kind of, day one, you might fail. And I think that's another one. It's okay. I'm transformational leader, but I've got so many things gotten wrong, right? And I think I've learned more from the failed projects than the ones that I've succeeded in. So I think taking that, and it's hard, also as women, we always are like trying to like make sure we can't fail. We have to make it work.
So true.
So I think also to kind of take that intentional feel and learning of, it's okay, this didn't work. How do we crank a different lever to be able to make this work? So that was a long-winded answer to your question, but
no, very, very helpful. I think because January rolls around and you're just getting on the backs of having done your budgets and projections, and then before you blink, it's July and it's that time again. So it's this constant battle to stay ahead of the projections and the roadmap while also delivering at the same time. I think that's pretty much the world we all live in. And so as you have transformed so many businesses and your own career journey, a lot of us that grow in our roles very quickly, I think we lose that mentorship along the way, right? Because we're progressing in our careers and our titles speak for themselves. But I think we end up relying more on our peers and so on for guidance and support. Who have been some of impactful leaders in your career journey that you would say that have transformed yourself and who you are today into the leader you are?
Oh my God. Rashmi, that's a wonderful question. I think Saleema, as you see right now, is not a product of her own self. I come from a very conservative Muslim family, having grown up in the Middle East, and really, I would say, my intention was not to break the ceiling, but to at least get out of the box that I was put in.
Right.
So getting an engineering degree, going through all that journey has been a blessing. A lot of people have poured into me. A lot of people, starting with my dad, like breaking the cycle, being willing to stand up and break the cycle for me. My multiple family members who stood by me when the whole world said otherwise. But as I get into my professional career, I think I quickly learned that there are two kind of people in your lives. One is a mentor who actually is willing to sit and listen to you, willing to talk to you about what you should do, what you can do, what are the options out there. And there's a sponsor. The sponsor is the one who actually stands by you and says, guess what? There is an opportunity. I think you will be amazing for it. You should go for it. You should. So I've had the blessing of having many sponsors in my life who have recognized probably the fire in my belly and have said, you know what, there is this amazing place or an opportunity that you should put your hand up for, or you should you have the ability to do it. When I have self-doubt and I don't know, I don't fit that 100%. Maybe I have only 80%, but statistics show that and not again to go back, like women want to be the 100% before we apply for a job, versus, like, oh, I think I can wing it. No, you cannot. You have to know what you're doing, right? So I think I've had some amazing leaders, C-levels, who I worked with during my consulting days of trying to implement projects. They're like, why are you doing this? You should be working here, doing this. Julie Cullivan was one of my CIOs from FireEye, one of my companies that I got in and worked with them to go into IPO. She was instrumental when I left FireEye to go to a smaller organization, and I said, I need a break. Like, I was doing my executive MBA and so much was happening at the company that I was in. And I said, I just need to calm down and do something small for a bit while I finish my part-time MBA. And she looked at me, she said, there is never a small for you, Saleema. You are going to she said, you are going to take this and make this into something that is huge. And guess what? That's exactly what we did in this company. We got acquired. We went through this acquisition journey. So she's always been
a champion
for me. And the other person, who was more of a mentor and who internally, without me knowing it, transformed my leadership style is the CEO of Duo. His name is Doug Sung. When I met him, I was not going to take the job when I interviewed with him. I'm like, I'm not going to Ann Arbor in the middle of winter storm, right? Never going to do that. But walked into the room and had this conversation with him, and he taught me how to bring out the human that, like the humanness that we all have in it, and we lose the sight of it as we become leaders and trying to get things done. And I'm trying to keep it clean, get things done. Like, we start without us knowing becoming a general, right? Like, we need to fix this, we need to get this done, we need to move this deck, we need to present here. But he taught me not to lose sight of it. Just an hour conversation, he said, look, I said, what do you worry about as you're and he said, I worry about how this culture is going to get messed up as we grow, and how am I going to preserve it? And the strategic pillar of the organization was be kinder than necessary. not be kind, be kinder than necessary. I think he transformed working not with him all through, but working around him and working in his leadership at Duo really transformed me to a better leader, to kind of listen to the team, be intentional about how we build relationships.
Right.
You know, being in consulting, you go in with an intention of getting that deal closed, making that impact, turning that business around, but going in also to getting to know this person, I think is a clear example what you guys are trying to do from a Zeal, right? This podcast, I think, is an example of it. You're not just talking about projects and implementation, but you're trying to know your customers, what drives them, what is in here. So I think sponsorship and mentorship is two things that as people are coming up in their careers, including my young daughter, I say you need to have mentors professionally, personally. And find that sponsor.
Yeah, have a tribe. Yeah, that's spot on, and I think you said it right. I think that's the philosophy at Zeal as well. It's not be kind. It's we lead with kindness, and we put people first. Relationships, whether it's with our clients, and our CEO, owner David, is very particular about it. So that was one of the prime reasons when I started at Zeal, just like you said about Duo. That says it all. That says that at the heart of a company, what really matters and lies. So being at WebEx, and now transitioning to Cisco, the mothership, and being at WebEx in the middle of COVID, right? I know enough people have talked enough about COVID, but you were not just responsible for sending your own employees home and making sure they stayed connected. You were responsible for a lot of your clients, and in how their very essence of how they collaborated was changing, and how they did business was changing. And you guys, came out with flying colors, and so much has happened in that industry overall. I would love to know if something can share some cool WebEx features that are up and coming, especially with all the talk around AI.
Yep.
What's in the pikes? What can we expect to see?
Absolutely. I think when I came into WebEx after Duo acquisition into Cisco and then came into WebEx, not in the marketing, I came into WebEx kind of an operations role at that time to be able to get WebEx transactable using credit cards for everybody, which was because we are an enterprise organization, right? Like we serve enterprises. So that was a first, again, to set up systems to be able to run that, right? Which we've never done before. It was and to see, okay, what is our numbers on an everyday basis across the world and how many transactions are happening on the credit card. So that was a very cool, very simple, it sounds so simple as an, as an IT coming in, but to be able to do that in the middle of flying the ship and transforming was definitely a cool thing. I think that's how I got exposed into WebEx and started working with the stakeholders to be able to make it more of a SaaS driven. It was already a SaaS driven company. I think the cool features about AI came to the forefront, I would say, November with ChatGPT, like November 2022.
That's all we've talked
2022, right? Like ChatGPT, everything. Like, oh my God, when something is actually answering things for us, it's when AI, but AI always existed, right?
Just like cloud
just like I think it's more of AI is now kind of a household name, like how internet was, right? That's kind of a transformation we are in. I would say from a WebEx, and I'll come to the cool features, but WebEx, if you look at the heart of the collaboration industry and who WebEx is, it is to enable you to be able to take a meeting, have a conversation wherever you are, right? Like whether you're in an office, you're at home, you're in a coffee shop, whatever it is. So while designing, the product team has to think about, again, what is the outcome you want? You want to be able to make this person present in the conversation, right? Because with COVID and working from home, we have so much distractions that were around us, right? Like, I could just 5 minutes, let me put the laundry in, let me get this, shake put together, put my blender on, quiet my cat out, whatever. So I think with so much distractions, you can be focused. It's very different. People have different ways of working. You have to recognize that. So intentionally, you have to look at the product on, my outcome is, how do I make sure that people are engaged? people are locked in. There is a presence that I need to make sure to have. So WebEx was designed with that as its core. So if you take that, automatically things come in. Like, how do I prevent the background noise that is around? That's AI, right? But we had it long before AI.
Interesting.
One of the best, right? Like I can, we do demos are like, hey, put the blender on, and they're like, oh, sometimes when I'm like, can you guys hear that? I can hear it. Yeah. They can. They're like, no, we don't hear my dog barking.
How many times I have to say, oh, the yard guy's here today. Sorry.
So that's, that's kind of, it's amazing. It's transformational. It is AI. And so it has, we would like to say, I would like to say that we always had these features that was intentionally built in to improve productivity. Does that ring a bell? What is AI there for? Right. AI's outcome is it is increasing our productivity in an everyday basis. Right. I'm a huge user of anything that that could help me get some time that I'm not thinking too much. Will it help me start an email? Will it help me start a document? Will it help me start a blog? Sign me up for it. Right. And that's why, like, okay, can I make my meeting experience better? To going back to, I think WebEx has been successful because we didn't think, okay, let's put a product in front of somebody that you can connect and you can talk and you can finish the meeting, close it and go. We kind of built on that. Like, how do I increase productivity? Great. How can I make it better? How can I make sure that there is no meeting fatigue that comes in? Because like, I'm sure I work from home when I'm not in the office. And it's funny because my parents are in town. They're like, do you work? Like, you're on calls all day. All right. Yes, that's kind of my work, right? It's a job description. But you're tired. You are fatigued. How do I make it easy? I think some of the cool, really, I love, this is one of my favorite features is, and I would say, especially for people who are like doing multiple things, is like, you can be in a meeting and you're always like trying to, okay, did I miss that point that somebody's taking notes and I'm taking notes? What does it do? It takes you away from the conversation. Right. And hold on a second. Let me take this down is what you typically hear in a meeting. I think our AI meeting summaries are excellent. I don't ever take notes now. I finish my meeting and it gives me a summary of everything that was discussed. It will summarize the key points, action items, everything for me. So it has made, I think, personally, my life amazing. If somebody's at the door and I step away, I come back and I can actually say, hey, was my name called when I was out?
I did not know about that.
Yeah. Tell me if I was given any action items. So those kind of
I have to go and see if your
I'm
unnamed competitor is doing that too or not.
Well, yeah. So I think it is really important to, I think WebEx was designed with the intention of making you productive, making an employee productive, making a user productive. Right. And at the heart of it, AI was always there. Of course, with the new tools and models that are coming out, we are expanding and amazing. Really, one of the biggest one we are going into is agentic AI. Mm-hmm. That's a big one that is out there. I don't know if you've seen the ChatGPT's new product Operator. A lot of things happening. I think I am super excited about where we are headed as a product, as a company. We have so much. It's fun, right? It's like, how did we get internet on our hands? Know, as a technologist yourself, you'll say use it to your advantage rather than trying to make sure that it's going to harm you. Put rail guards, around it, right? Security is a huge concern. Oh yes. How do we make sure that if it can, if you see the demo for Operators, like, order this grocery for me, like you can set it up that it orders all your stuff and you have nothing to do, right? You can create that whole thing, but things can go wrong. There are multiple areas of intervention that can happen from a security perspective. And I think everybody is working on it, and it'll be a good one.
That's awesome. I'm so excited. I can't wait to try out some of these new features. I did not even know about my name being called, and I'm sure it would have saved a lot of people who had some compromising situations happened.
we have some. I mean, I'm going to send you. You are a CIO, so I'm going to send you a couple of videos about. We have an excellent marketing team. Headed by my leader, who's also one of my sponsors, I would say, who's really in Cisco, helped me grow. Somebody said, always keep your hand up. Yeah. Right? Always keep your hand up. And I think that would be my thing that my sponsors have told me as well.
Awesome. Awesome. So looking at everything that's going on, looking at, I think you made a comment earlier when we were chatting before we got started. If there's a fire and a car's on fire, that you'll be the first person to run towards it and not away from it, and open the hood and say, what went wrong? And so that kind of responsibility, and especially if it comes from within, you don't turn that off, right? That is who you are. And I've seen it in action many times myself. So what do you, I have a two-part question to wrap this up for us. What does your self-care look like? Because I think I don't want anyone to have the impression that with this level of success and drive and ambition, that this is all you do and this is what you live off of, because that's not reasonable. And then the other question I have is, what's next? Because I know I ask that of myself all the time, and I know you're the same way. What's next for Saleema?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It is it's a switch, right? And it's hard to turn it off. But as I get older, as I get wiser, couple of things, right? If I talk about, there are two kind of self-care. One is a self-care that you energize with, there is, are you a person who absorbs and you needs that energy, and how do you drive that, get that energy?
Right.
Is it from, some people need to be by themselves, because that's what gives them the energy. Recharge. Some people love being around people, and they get energy through there. I think a combination of both is for me. Family is very important for me. I have a very small core family. My husband is more than my husband. He's my partner. He's my wind beneath my wings, and so is my daughter. So I get a lot of energy from they know when to pull me back, calm down.
Nothing like a teenage daughter for that reality check.
No,
right?
She's going to be 20 this Monday. Yeah, I can't believe it. Yeah, putting me in place. Yeah, she knows that, and I think my husband too. And I think they are my brake and my accelerator.
Yeah.
They know when to stop me, when to slow me down, and when to kind of put me into high gear. That too. I love workouts. Yeah, I love lifting weights and putting them down. I think that's my self-care. I think that really helps. But I think meditation has become a part of my routine. Like, it's not somebody is making me go at this speed.
Yeah, it comes from within.
Because if that happens, it's easy to walk out of that. Right? You're like, hey, oh my God, this job is killing me. You have a lot of burnout in the industry, and then you're out.
Right.
And it is hard, like you are like that too, where it's hard when you're constantly asking, what next? I think I am trying to become a lot more conscious of giving me grace and telling me, enjoy this milestone you have come to.
Be present.
Yes. Take this milestone in. It's hard. It's the most hardest thing. It's harder than transforming a company, I bet. I promise you. It's hard to say, you know what? You wanted this 2 years ago or 3 years ago. It's come. Right. Take a moment, take it in, and then go on. I think giving back to the younger generation is something that is that's kind of what's next for Saleema. Yes, I do love the job that I'm in. I love the company. I love the people I work with. I love my leaders. I think we are headed in a wonderful future together. And of course, there are days where I'm like, oh, God. But I think that's when your positivity has to kick in and you have to move forward. But going back to what is, that's a goal. Where we want to go. Yes, I do want to take on more. I want to solve more problems. I want to be part of turnaround stories, more turnaround stories than transformation stories. I want to do all of that. But I also want to have a purpose, right? Fulfill my purpose. What is my purpose? I think my purpose is to be able to impact the younger generation like I was given the opportunity, whether it was kids who, and make technology as not be an equity and play that, I think that's something that I really want to give in. I do a lot
So
of
school and college age kids.
Yes,
and
absolutely, absolutely. I've done. I mean, when I was more in the cybersecurity space, I used to go to schools and talk about social media, the safety of it, and talking to kids. And I think like there is a need for. I see the younger generation moving away from the fear of technology, especially girls. Like we don't want to code. STEM is not what we want to do, and and also like they see a different part of the technology, right? They're
Right.
users versus
Right.
implementers.
Yeah.
But to be able for them to see the technology as a user and how it can impact them as a user is something that I really want to do. And I think that is definitely what is next for me in my journey is how what are my opportunities to impact, give that to the younger generation, kids in need, kids who want it, families who've not been able to get that. Because I think when you educate a child and bring them into technology, you're not just changing that child's life. The starting salary of a technologist is so different from anybody else, right? So they are impacting their entire generations. So I think that is needed in this climate and generations. And I don't know what it is, but I know for sure it will come and I'll find it.
Right.
And that's kind of what is next for Saleema. It's finding out and fulfilling my purpose.
Perfect. Well, Saleema, thank you. Doesn't cover it. I'm walking away wiser, energized, inspired. What you bring to the table, what you do every day, it's an inspiration. And now to see you continue that legacy, not only where you're at with Cisco, but also exploring. That's how we stay young. That's what creates legacies through the eyes of the next generation, and seeing those eyes light up and blurring those gender lines around who is it appropriate to code and be a technologist or not. What a commitment. What a career. Thank you. So honored to have you here.
Thank you so much. Thanks to Rashmi. Thanks for bringing me here. Thanks to Zeal for having me. And to have this conversation, not towards what is happening in the industry or like, what can we do, but like, what can we do? Right. Like going back to who are the people, listening to the people and where we are. I think it's an honor to be here and to be in your presence. You are you are an inspiration for me in what you do on a daily basis. And I'm so glad to be around people who are and be in the same journey. I think we both are on the same journey. Or what is next? What do we do? How do we create an impact in the society and where we are? And thank you for the partnership. Thank you for your friendship, and thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.